Hi, and welcome to Understanding Poetry Part 2. Last time we went over the elements of poetry, and this week we are going to go over a little bit more in detail about figurative language. So, we went over literal language, which means exactly what it says. Grass looks green, sand feels rough, grasshoppers make a high-pitched noise. Figurative language is the opposite. It's word or phrases that do not have their normal literal meaning. This makes writing more interesting and dramatic, makes it spicy. So the grass looks like spiky green hair. Sand is solid water. Grasshoppers are fiddlers who play their legs. Those are some examples of figurative language. So we've got simile, metaphor, and personification. We're going to go into more detail about what those are right now. Okay, these are called figures of speech. So a simile. A simile is a comparison using like or as. He was as brave as a lion. How brave was he? He was brave like a lion. She looked at me like I was speaking in some strange alien tongue. She looked at me like I was speaking a crazy different language we didn't understand. That is simile. So you're comparing his bravery to a lion. Lions are fierce and known for their bravery, so he is brave as a lion. You're comparing him to the lion. She looked at me like I was speaking in some strange alien tongue. So you're comparing her looking at me to someone who would look at someone like they're crazy. So someone you don't understand. The eye is being compared to an alien that she doesn't understand. Our next figure of speech is the metaphor. So this is a comparison without using like or as. This describes one thing as if it were another, not comparing them, saying they are like another thing, saying they are actually that thing. The sun was a toddler, insistently refusing to go to bed. It was past 8:30 and still light. So this is a comparison to the sun being out still to a toddler. The sun was a toddler. It doesn't say it was like a toddler. It says that the sun is literally a toddler. The sun was a toddler, insistently refusing to go to bed. It was past 8:30 and still light. So you can see exactly what the poet is thinking. The sun is refusing to go down. It seems like a toddler. You know, if you ever tried to put a toddler to bed and they're screaming, they won't do it. So the sun is refusing to go down. It's still light at 8:30 at night. You really visualize that. That's the point of a metaphor, is to visualize something. You really see the comparison. So we have personification. You can see right here in the word it has person. So this gives human characteristics to something non-human. And the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe. So we have the stars. What are the stars doing? They are dancing. Do stars really dance? No. Only humans can really dance. So the stars, they're shining, they're sparkling. It looks as if they're dancing. But this poet has said the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe. So you really see that image. You visualize the stars twinkling, looking like dancers. Hyperbole. This is an exaggeration to emphasize a point. So hyperbole is an exaggeration. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Could that person actually eat an entire horse? No. It's an exaggeration to say how hungry you really are. You're starving. You're so hungry. You could eat a horse. The horse is like, what? Don't eat me. You are so slender that the wind could carry you away. Do you think the wind could actually carry this person away? Probably not. But they are very, very thin. They're very slender. So the poet is making an exaggeration, a hyperbole, to express how thin this person actually is. That is figurative language, hyperbole, an exaggeration. You really visualize the wind carrying away this very thin person, so thin, like a piece of paper. So match the figures of speech. So take a second, look at these, and think about the ones we just learned. Which would be which? My love is like a rose. Our love bloomed in the garden, and I'm drowning in a sea of grief. So we've got hyperbole, personification, metaphor, and simile. So try and match them up. So pause the video and see if you can match them correctly. My love is like a rose. Simile. My love being compared to a rose. Next one. Our love bloomed in the garden. Love. Can love bloom? Personification. Love is blooming. Love doesn't actually bloom. I'm drowning in a sea of grief. It is a metaphor. Are you actually drowning? No, you're just very, very, very sad. Feels like you're drowning, but you're not actually doing it. Hopefully you got all those right. If not, you might need to go back and review some of the descriptions again. So now we have mood and tone. So these two things are slightly different. So mood is the feeling created by the poet for you, the reader. So examples, gloomy, optimistic, calm, and angry. This is the feeling created by the poet for you. So you're reading, how does the poem make you feel? How do you think it makes you feel? Now the tone is the feeling displayed by the author toward the subject of the poem. The subject being what the poem is about. So examples can be serious, funny, joyful, and formal. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. What kind of mood does that create for you? What is the poet making you feel when you read that? So I said it makes me feel peaceful. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. I'm feeling kind of peaceful by that. The poet wants you to feel at peace. There's only the sound of a slight wind and snow falling, and the woods are lovely and they're dark and they're deep. Now the tone, feeling displayed by the author toward the subject of the poem. What do you think the tone of this poem is? I said a possible tone could be calm, slightly different than peaceful. So I felt peaceful when I read it. The poet was trying to make me feel peaceful. But the possible tone is calm. The author, the poet, is using the poem to make the subject seem calm. The woods are calm, the scene is calm. These two are very similar, but just slightly different. So a review of what theme is, because theme is also very important in poetry. So the theme is a message the author wants you to take away from the poem. So what lesson? What does the author hope the reader realizes or learns? What are you going to learn? What message is the poet giving you in this poem? We've got some common themes: love conquers all, friendships can be found in strangers, never give up, and believe in yourself. Those are some common themes. Remember, themes are universal, so they're going to be broad messages and not specifically what happened in the poem. This is the message, not the main idea. So we're going to review all of our steps now, and then I'm going to show you what an annotated poem might look like. So we've already done 1 through 4, right? We identified the literal meaning of each stanza. So next, step 5, identify all figurative language. Ask, what is its purpose? What does the poet want me to visualize? And then you're going to write it down. You're going to highlight any words that are impactful or interesting. Ask, what does this reveal about the tone and mood of the poem? Write down how the poem makes you feel, and write down a universal theme. What message did the poet want to give us? So here's an example of my annotated poem. You can see I wrote right on it. The literal meaning, speaker is tossing and turning. Literal meaning for each stanza. I have some of my comments. I see figurative language here, hyperbole, at least 1 million sheep I count. So that's an exaggeration, showing that a long time has passed. You see frustration here. Why am I lying awake? I thought this was kind of funny, so I wrote LOL. I didn't know what the word promptly meant, so I wrote without delay on top here. Now, my personal reaction, I've definitely felt like this before. It feels like you'll never fall asleep. Then you try to relax and you finally do. The theme I came up with was sometimes the best way to get what you want is to stop trying so hard. So tossing, turning, counting sheep, counting sheep, counting sheep. And then as soon as he stops trying to count sheep, he falls asleep. Trying so hard to fall asleep, and then at the very end, stop trying, you can fall asleep. So I thought the tone, I felt like it was funny, a little bit silly, and I also, I felt tired. I felt that tiredness of the tossing and turning, that repetition, toss and turn and toss. That's another one we could have written down, repetition. Now I thought the mood was a little silly. So, the tone, author's trying to make the speaker seem silly, funny. And that is how I annotated this little poem. So that is your lesson for the day. See you next time on poetry.